Senator Antonio Trillanes IV has changed his mind of not going out of the Senate building today. According to the senator, he has confirmed that there is still a standing order of arresting him, although no warrant of arrest had been issued by the court. Nel Marie Buhok is at the Senate to tell us why live. Yes, Nel, go ahead.
Diego, members of the media are outside of the Senate building waiting for Senator Antonio Trillanes IV to come out based on what he has earlier stated. But the senator suddenly changed his mind and decided to just stay in his office. According to Trillanes, he got a confirmation that the standing arrest against him is still in place, although no arrest warrant has been issued by the court.
Kanina, lumabas yung aking sasakyan para magpagasolina at ito ay sinundan ng ilang mga nakamotorsiklo na personnel at nakuha na namin ng photographs. And at the same time, it was reported to us na suddenly nung na-report ng media na gano'n nga, ay nagkaroon ng augmentation yung PNP personnel outside at ang intention daw is paglabas ko ay they will stop me from going back in.
The motorcycle units are believed to be from the PNP or AFP. Trillanes adds that they received warning from the armed forces arresting units that they are ready to arrest him. The number of police personnel in the Senate has observed to be increased this afternoon after his pronouncement that he will try to go outside the building. As of now, the camp of Senator Trillanes are preparing for the legal battle for the scheduled hearing tomorrow at the Makati Regional Trial Court. Diego?
Thank you, Nel Marie Buhok, reporting live from the Senate of the Philippines. The Makati Regional Trial Court this morning heard but not yet decided on the Justice Department's plea for the issuance of arrest order against Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. May Bermudez tells us why.
The Makati Regional Trial Court is still undecided on whether to grant the plea to issue an arrest order against Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. During today's hearing, Presiding Judge Andres Bartolome Soriano of Makati RTC Branch 148 asked Trillanes' legal counsel to submit a rejoinder or additional arguments in asking for the dismissal of the motion filed by the Department of Justice seeking his arrest and to bar him from leaving the country. The court further granted the request of Trillanes' lawyer to supplement their arguments, while the prosecution is given 5 days to comment.
Also, upon the request of the same counsel for Senator Trillanes, he's also given a similar period of 10 days from today to file their supplemental comment or opposition to the pending incident herein, which is the omnibus motion of the prosecution.
After all the pleadings were submitted, the court will decide whether or not there are sufficient grounds to order Trillanes' arrest. DOJ argues the senator should present to the court original copies of his amnesty application in 2011. They also underscored that admission of guilt on the part of the senator is fictional. But Trillanes' legal counsel argued before the court that several officials, particularly Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo and President Duterte, have an evolving theory on the senator's case. He also claimed Proclamation 572 is specifically directed against Trillanes, despite the fact that over 200 other mutineers applied and availed of the same amnesty grant.
Yung Pangulo mismo ang nagsabi na iba na yung teorya nila dun sa proclamation. Ang sinasabi nila ngayon, null and void yung amnesty kasi hindi si Presidente Aquino ang nakapirma. We just pointed out na kahit yung palasyo hindi alam kung ano yung teorya nila dito sa and it goes to show that afterthought na lang yun. Nung makita nila na there are videos and there are documentary evidence that the senator actually filed and made an admission of guilt.
A similar motion for Trillanes' arrest is set to be heard tomorrow by Makati RTC Branch 150, the court which handled Trillanes' rebellion charges. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
The Department of Health warns the public to be mindful of the severe diseases from flood water as the agency gives tips to avoid typhoon season diseases. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Department of Health has raised a code white alert in anticipation of disease outbreaks in areas affected by Typhoon Ompong. The potential super typhoon is expected to cause flooding. In such situations, the DOH advises parents to monitor their children and bar them from playing, wading, or swimming in floodwater where waterborne diseases breed. Health Undersecretary Eric Domingo explained that aside from leptospirosis, there are other diseases that people can acquire from exposure to rain and flood water, starting with the most common fever and flu, followed by dengue, typhoid fever, and cholera. The health official added that flood water is obviously contaminated with bacteria and viruses that can be harmful and fatal once they enter the human body.
Ito pakiusap namin sa mga magulang, kasi po pag talaga nagtampisaw ang bata sa tubig na marumi, lahat ng sakit nandun na, merong bakterya, merong fungus, merong virus katulad ng leptospirosis, no?
Different kinds of pollutants are also contained in flood water, especially in areas near canals, lavatory, and sewerage system.
Hindi natin alam kung saan ang galing yung tubig na yan, na kasama na po yung dumi galing sa imbornal, kasama na po yung dumi sa kalye. At pag nainom pa siyempre ng bata ito, habang nagsiswimming siya at naglalaro doon, papasok pa sa katawan niya. No? So napakarami pong sakit na makukuha sa maruming tubig at hindi po dapat ito gawing laruan ng mga bata.
It is most dangerous when a child drinks flood water, which causes diarrhea and worse, cholera. The health official advises households to always store clean water, especially during the onslaught of a typhoon, for domestic use and more importantly for drinking.
Siyempre yung water supply natin, maaring makontaminate yung pinagkukuha ng tubig, lalo na yung mga gagamitin natin na iinumin or gagamitin sa pantimpla bawa ng mga papainom sa mga bata. Common din itong mga sakit na gastroenteritis, yung mga nakukuha sa contaminated na tubig katulad ng hepatitis, at may mga mas grabe pa, katulad ng typhoid at saka yung cholera.
The DOH reminds the public to immediately bring to the nearest hospital or health center anyone who is experiencing severe diarrhea or loose bowel movements of up to 4 times a day to prevent dehydration. The agency has secured enough supply of oral rehydration solution in rural health units nationwide. Meanwhile, the Department of Health is monitoring possible disease outbreaks in areas which will be badly affected by Typhoon Ompong. As a measure, the DOH has prepositioned medical supplies and equipment amounting to 19 million pesos in different health facilities in the concerned regions. DOH has also set 40 million pesos as a quick response fund once Ompong severely hits regions, especially northern Luzon. Aiko Miguel, UNTV, News and Rescue, Manila.
Several consumers are taking advantage of lower prices of some vegetables and other staple products in local markets ahead of the anticipated onset of Typhoon Ompong. Asher Kadapan Jr. explains why.
The prices of some vegetables in a public market in Quezon City have gone down following the torrent of supplies after local farmers opted to harvest their yields early in preparation for the onslaught of Typhoon Ompong. In Balintawak Market, the prices of Baguio beans, potatoes, tomatoes, squash, and calamansi went down by 10 to 20 pesos a kilogram. Some consumers are taking advantage of lowered vegetable prices to stock their cupboards ahead of the typhoon.
Kaya nga bumili na ako ng marami kasi pag dumating ang bagyo, mahal na talaga yun.
But according to some vegetable vendors, cheaper retail prices of some crops might not last long because this is expected to go up again after a storm lashes the country. Retailers say supplies are usually limited because of difficulty in transporting produce during inclement weather.
Pag umulan kasi nasisira ang mga mga gulay. Pagka kumunti ang supply, taas talaga.
The price of garlic and onion per kilogram remains stable, but the cost of carrots, cabbage, coyote, and sweet potato went up. Chilies imported from Taiwan, which previously costs 800 pesos per kilogram, has dropped to 450 pesos. The price of poultry products also decreased, while a kilogram of dried fish is sold at 200 pesos to 300 pesos. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The House Makabayan bloc expresses worry over possible huge losses that the local agriculture sector will incur in line with the proposed issuance of an executive order seeking to simplify the food importation process. Joannano tells us why.
Members of the House Makabayan bloc expressed their concerns on the possible impact to local farmers once President Rodrigo Duterte signs the executive order simplifying the process of food importation. Malacanang has reported Wednesday that the government's economic managers are planning to submit a draft executive order to the president to tame the country's surging inflation. The economic managers are proposing to streamline the importation process by removing or reducing the tariffs being imposed on imported essential food items, including sugar, meat, rice, and vegetables. But according to Gabriela Party List Representative Arlene Brosas, this move might threaten the livelihood of local farmers and traders.
Kapag bumaha ng mga produkto na ito sa atin, ang mas mabibili ay yung mga produkto ng iba. Kaya po ito ay pagtatanggal sa kakayanan ng mga producers natin dito sa bansa na makinabang doon sa matagal na nilang dapat na pinapakinabangan.
ACT Teachers Party List Representative Castro also argues that the measure might result to possible price increases given the high peso-dollar exchange rate.
Nakita natin ang sitwasyon ngayon, 54 pesos a dollar na. So kung ito yung magiging direksyon ng ating gobyerno, dahil nakatali sa importasyon ang dolyar, so mas mahal na mabibili. So ano magiging epekto nito? For sure, mas mahal din na ito na maipapasa sa mga consumers.
Instead of simplifying the food importation process, the Makabayan lawmakers say the president should declare a price control in accordance with the Republic Act 7581 or the Price Act.
Malinaw po doon na kapag mayroong unreasonable spike ng mga prices of commodities and services, o goods and commodities, maaari po yung batayan para mag-issue ang Pangulo ng price ceiling and price control na hindi na po kailangan magkaroon ng declaration of a state of emergency.
President Duterte has earlier assured that his economic managers are now working to curb the inflation. As reported by Malacanang, these proposals include streamlining the process of rice importation of the National Food Authority and the immediate release of essential food products in ports. Joannano, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Over 130,000 sacks of NFA rice are now cleared of weevil infestation after undergoing a fumigation process. However, it may take several days before these rice stocks can be unloaded from the vessel and delivered to local markets. Here's Eileen Cerudo to tell us why.
The Bureau of Quarantine has completed the fumigation process on more than 130,000 sacks of weevil-infested imported rice at Baton-Pierre in the Subic Freeport Zone in Zambales. This means that the imported rice can now be delivered to local markets as the agency declared them safe for consumption. There was a delay in the discharge of the shipment because of weevil infestation caused by days of monsoon rains in August. However, the unloading has been suspended anew due to the entry of Typhoon Ompong.
Everything is cleared according to NFA Zambales manager na kausap namin, na kumusta namin sila. Sa ngayon, hindi sila binigyan ng pagkakataon para magdiskarga, mag-unload kasi baka hindi natin masabi kahit maganda ang panahon ngayon, pwede itong basta-basta kukulimlim na lang at magbibigay ng malakas na ulan, maapektuhan yung kanilang pagdiskarga.
Meanwhile, the vessel MV Ghazi is now at sea in accordance with the port's policy, barring shipment vessels to stay at the port in the event of an approaching typhoon for safety and security reasons.
Hindi natin pwedeng gawing biruin, malakas talaga yung bagyo. And we're hoping na, everybody is hoping na sana wag namang malaki ang effect dito sa atin.
The decision over the date of discharge and delivery will be decided by the SMBA. The rice supply is intended for delivery to the province of Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, Zambales, Tarlac, Bataan, and Aurora. The rice shipment arrived on August 2 from Thailand. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Congressional Oversight Committee once again questioned the alleged irregularities in the 2016 automated elections. These include discrepancies of votes received by the Transparency and the COMELEC servers. Nel Marie Buhok will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections has once again taken the defense on the allegation of irregularities in the 2016 automated elections. This is in connection with the expose of an election watchdog that there are questions raised on the transmission of votes of the vote counting machine to the Transparency and the COMELEC central servers in the 2016 national elections. The said two servers have discrepancies with their received votes even though there is only one transmission of the same VCM.
Ang na-record po sa official COMELEC server is 213,814 votes. Nawala po yung 342,082 votes.
Kailangan kasi talaga natin makita muna yung plugs and numbers kasi pati kami nalalakihan eh.
According to an IT expert and poll body, Commissioner Marlon Casquejo, there is indeed a probability that the two servers may have discrepancies, but these do not necessarily affect the integrity of the automated elections.
So there are situations na yung transmission lang is only transmitted in the CCS where it is located in the board of canvassers. So that is why may situations na kulang yung nasa transparency server.
Casquejo explains that the basis of the proclamation of winners in the elections are from the counts of the city or municipal canvassers. Despite this, the commissioner said they will tackle the issue on the transparency and central servers during the COMELEC Anbank to prevent any doubts and confusion. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque plans to convene the prosecutors who handled the cases related to the 2009 Maguindanao massacre and meet with President Rodrigo Duterte. This is in response to reports that there are efforts to encourage the witnesses of the crime to recant their testimonies made before the court. The main suspects of the Maguindanao massacre are the members of the Ampatuan clan facing multiple murder cases. The president has mentioned before his expectations for the court to release its partial promulgation on the Maguindanao massacre cases.
I'd like to inform the public that I'm arranging a meeting with the panel of prosecutors in the palace again. And again, I would like to invite the president to join us in our meeting so that the president can be apprised by the prosecution team on what's happening.
OPM rock band Plethora holds a Thanksgiving concert for their fans. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
OPM rock outfit Plethora celebrated its 16 years in the music industry together with their fans in a concert held in General Trias, Cavite. Supporters of Plethora enjoy the night as they sing and dance along with the band's performances.
Sobrang saya po pakinggan. Opo, relate na relate po talaga tayong kabataan kasi sobrang rock po tapos basta po masaya. Para po sa akin, astig, maangas, kakaiba, minsan mo lang maririnig.
Plethora's friends in the industry, Ian Matthew and the Wishful Five, also joined the celebration. Plethora, composed of LJ Herrera, Andrew Isaguirre, Aldrin Isaguirre, and Jesser Pelio, have been performing for the crowd since they were in high school. They say they are happy with their career, especially now.
Nakakatawa, nakaka-proud kasi hindi lang BMPI yung nag-handle sa amin ngayon. Kasi with BMPI parang sobrang solved na kami, full na. Tapos nagkaroon pa ng isang company which is Warner Music na mag-handle ng mga release ng song namin. Kaya sobrang nag-uumapaw yung pakiramdam.
Plethora is looking forward to making new songs for their supporters. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
More areas in northern Luzon are placed under signal number 1 as Typhoon Ompong continues
to go close to the country. At 4 p.m. today, Pag-asa spotted Ompong at 575 kilometers east-northeast of Virac, Catanduanes, packing maximum winds of 205 kilometers per hour with gustiness of up to 255 kilometers per hour. It is currently moving towards west-northwest at 25 kilometers. Signal number 1 has been hoisted over Batanes, Cagayan, including Babuyan Group of Islands, Apayao, Abra, Kalinga, and Mountain Province. Ifugao, Isabela, Benguet, Pangasinan, La Union, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Aurora, Pampanga, Bataan, and Zambales. Signal number 1 is also up in Metro Manila, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Bulacan, Rizal, Quezon including Polillo Island, Northern Occidental Mindoro, Oriental Mindoro, Masbate, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, Burias, Ticao Island, and Northern Samar. Pag-asa says these areas will experience rains and gusty winds within 36 hours. Ompong is expected to make landfall over Cagayan, Isabela areas on Saturday morning. But on Friday, Ompong will enhance the southwest monsoon, bringing moderate to heavy rains over Palawan, Zamboanga Peninsula, and Visayas area. This weather condition is expected to prevail until Saturday. Fisher folks and small sea crafts are advised not to venture out in seaboards of areas under signal number 1 as well as in the seaboards of northern Luzon and eastern Visayas and Mindanao. Meanwhile, President Duterte designates Presidential Advisor on Political Affairs Francis Tolentino as person in charge for the preparations and disaster response on Typhoon Ompong. Duterte made the announcement during the command conference earlier, with weather and disaster agencies as well as other government officials at the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council Operations Center in Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City. The President then asked NDRRMC members to stay in constant communication with each other during the height of Ompong's onslaught. Duterte also suggested the use of one dedicated radio line for all government agencies, including the Department of National Defense, and another for the military and police for central communications, noting that cellular networks can break down during disasters. Some local government units and schools have already announced class suspension for the anticipation of Typhoon Ompong. Among the classes canceled in all levels in public and private schools are La Union, Pangasinan, Cagayan, Isabela, Bambang in Nueva Vizcaya, and Abra. Also declaring class suspension in all levels are Lagawi Town in Ifugao, Tabuk in Kalinga, several towns in Pampanga, Tarlac, Zambales, except for Olongapo City, Camarines Sur, and Parañaque and Quezon cities in Metro Manila. Disaster officials have earlier reported that Typhoon Ompong is expected to make landfall at the northern tip of Cagayan on Saturday. Authorities also continue to urge residents, even those who are not on the path of the powerful storm, to prepare because Ompong is also expected to enhance the southwest monsoon, which will bring rains in parts of the country. Keep watching UNTV News and Rescue for updates on class suspension due to Typhoon Ompong. The Philippine National Police forms a reactionary standby support force to be deployed in areas being threatened by Typhoon Ompong. The Office of Civil Defense, meanwhile, believes it is high time for the government to create a department that will manage disaster responses. Jo Anano tells us why.
The Philippine National Police is preparing more than 1,000 policemen from different units inside the PNP headquarters in Camp Crame to form the Reactionary Standby Support Force. Chief Directorial Staff Police Director Camilo Cascolan says the standby troops may be deployed anytime in support to their men in areas affected by Typhoon Ompong, such as the Cordillera Administrative Region, Regions 1, 2, 3, 4A, 4B, and 5, as well as in different parts of the National Capital Region.
Now, what we will be doing here is we will try to see what help we could give.
The support team is also expected to provide security, humanitarian, disaster relief assistance to the residents in typhoon-hit areas and also as additional manpower during forced evacuations and road clearing operations. Amid preparations for the anticipated onslaught of a powerful storm, the proposal to create a Department of Disaster Management has resurfaced. It can be recalled that during his third State of the Nation address, President Rodrigo Duterte urged the Congress to approve the proposed creation of the Department of Disaster Management. The Office of the Civil Defense currently serves as the overall coordinator of concerned agencies such as the military for the search and retrieval operations, DSWD for relief supplies, and local government units for other requirements. But the OCD is just an agency under the Department of National Defense. OCD Administrator Undersecretary Ricardo Halad believes the government's relief efforts would be more effective if a separate agency will oversee its mobilization. While waiting for the proposal to be taken up in the Congress, the agency assures the government has prepared for the anticipated impact of Typhoon Ompong to attain zero casualty. Joan Ano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
A preemptive evacuation has been ordered for residents in Cagayan, where Typhoon Ompong is expected to make landfall on Saturday. Mon Ocson tells us why.
Local officials of Cagayan have been making rounds all day to inform and alert villagers of the fast-approaching Typhoon Ompong. Big speakers installed on cabs announcing advisories in Ilocano dialect can also be heard, while posters written in Ilocano and English are spread throughout villages to warn about the areas being prone to storm surges. A preemptive evacuation is also in effect in the whole province ahead of Ompong's onslaught. According to Rogelio Sending Jr., the Provincial Information Officer of the province of Cagayan, all local government units have been advised to fully prepare as they are on the direct path of the powerful storm.
Tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung preemptive evacuation lalo na ngayon mas na merong madadagdagan ng mga bayan na tatamaan kaya inaabisuhan na rin yung mga mayors at mga organization namin.
Local officials are particularly advising villagers to leave their homes that are situated near mountains and seas, as Ompong is expected to bring torrential rains and strong winds that might trigger landslides, inland flooding, and storm surge. Grace Arreguilario and her family live only a few meters from the coast, and she is currently preparing their clothes and other necessities. However, she plans to bring her family to the emergency shelter tomorrow.
Sa ngayon sir, di pa namin maramdaman yung bagyo kasi sabi nila sa Sabado pa darating sir. Baka bukas sir o sa Sabado ng maaga.
Antonio, on the other hand, will only let his wife and children evacuate when the weather condition worsens.
Dito lang ako, hindi ako alis.
Yung pamilya mo?
Alis sila, para magbantay sa bahay.
Cagayan officials assure they will extend assistance for residents during evacuation process. Supplies of medicines and other essentials have also been pre-positioned. Rescue teams are also on standby in Cagayan, sub-capital, for faster deployment. Mon Ocson, UNTV News and Rescue, Bugay, Cagayan.
Residents and officials in Arengay, La Union continue to prepare for the anticipated onslaught of Typhoon Ompong. However, some fish pen owners are opting to ride out the powerful storm instead of harvesting their yields. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
A fish pen owner in Arengay, La Union named Mario Padilla is busy preparing for the approaching Typhoon Ompong. He took advantage of the still fair weather to secure the nets enclosing his fish pen. But unlike others who harvest their yields early and dismantle their fish pen to avoid it from getting damaged by rough seas and winds, Padilla opts not take his fish pen apart and to ride out the storm. He explains the fish pen contains around 17,000 milkfish fingerlings which are set to be harvested in February next year.
Yan, hindi talaga ninyo inaalis yung net niyan pagpabagyo, sir?
Hindi na, sir. Hindi, sir. Basta babantay lang namin, sir.
La Union is among the areas in Luzon that are likely to be hit by the most powerful storm so far to enter the country this year. Local authorities have advised residents to brace for the typhoon, which is packing intense rains and winds that could leave severe damages. Bobby Mabanta has been securing his home with sacks filled with sand to prevent his roof from being ripped by strong winds. He also plans to take his family to a safer ground.
Nag-aanda kami sir kapag malaking alon na, kapag may angin at sa ulan sir.
Saan po kayong ipapuso?
Yung sa Ringa sa Civic sir.
Local disaster agencies in Arengay are also poised to evacuate residents, particularly in coastal areas, and prepared at least 200 relief packs.
Kapag medyo malakas na yung nagkakandak na kami ng preemptive evacuation. Pupunta na kami sa mga areas namin, just like yung pinaka-critical kasi namin in terms of typhoons and storm surges sa coastal areas namin sa Barangay Alaska.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Hurricane Florence has been downgraded to a Category 2 storm as it approaches the U.S., but officials still warns of its life-threatening effects. Nomer Peñaranda tells us why.
Hurricane Florence slightly weakens as it continues to approach the U.S. Its winds may have dropped to 110 miles per hour, but its slow-moving nature could mean it lingers for days, bringing catastrophic flooding. Some 10 million people are now under some form of storm watch. Florence may now be heading further south, and Georgia is the latest state to declare an emergency. It joins North and South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. Forecasters have adjusted the predicted path of Florence. It is now expected to make landfall a little further south on the Carolinas border on Thursday. Although the maximum sustained winds have fallen, they are not expected to weaken further, and the forward speed of the hurricane is also dropping, meaning it could linger near the coastline through Saturday. This means that torrential rainfall could last for significant periods and cause catastrophic flooding, including in inland areas such as Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia.
North Carolina is about to face the power of Hurricane Florence. The time to prepare is almost over. North Carolina, my message is clear. Disaster is at the doorstep and is coming in.
Meanwhile, the Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs reiterates its advisory for the estimated 150,000 members of the Filipino community in Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina to keep themselves updated on the progress of the storm and to heed orders from local authorities. Along with other residents, Filipinos started storing water and food to overcome the heavy rain and floods that will be brought by the hurricane.
Gonna fill up the bathtub with water, so that way, if in case we don't have any water supply, we can use that. So if in case we need to use the bathroom and stuff like that, or we need a wash or something.
For electricity outages, what we do, we go to my in-laws' house. They're close to us, and they have electricity generators. So when the electricity goes off, we go there.
The Embassy of the Philippines in Washington, D.C. has been in constant communication with Filipino and Filipino-American communities in monitoring the situation of our compatriots, especially in areas to be greatly affected by Hurricane Florence. Nomer Peñaranda, UNTV News and Rescue, Virginia, USA.
The newest batch of ocean ambassadors of Miss SCUBA Philippines is gearing up for the nearing coronation night. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
Candidates from different parts of the country are vying for the Miss SCUBA Philippines title this year. The ladies are advocating marine conservation, safe diving practices, and sustainable marine tourism. Last year's Miss SCUBA Philippines Sherlene Doloriel graced the candidates' media presentation. She says she learned so much in her reign as she traveled and studied the situation of the seas and the oceans. She adds that plastic pollution is among the major concerns of today.
For me, not just spreading awareness, but we need to do it
not just telling but people, but also in yourself. Now that's why I applied it to myself. I reduce using plastic.
Miss Scuba International 2015 and UNTV's The Dive host, Cindy Maluma, also showed her support to this year's Miss Scuba Philippines candidates. Cindy is the first Filipina to win the title. She also thanks UNTV for giving her the opportunity to host The Dive that helps her further her advocacy.
Imagine 70% of our Earth is covered by the ocean. It's enough reason for us to protect it, to advocate for it. Because of The Dive, we are showing them the beauty of underwater, the creation of God.
Miss Scuba Philippines 2018 Coronation Night will be held at the Chaos City of Dreams, Manila on October 3. Leslie Lomboan, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.